his demise. Joe got Junior with murder in his eyes. Pouring blocks full of black greed to inherit the wealth. He would make them cruel intentions. Cruel intentions. Twisted mind at play. He has to plan and make his parents pay no remorse. His heart turned black. Seeking revenge, there's no turning back. Chaos unleashed in the dead of night. His parents take shield, shadows take flight. Fire seals the air. So got you there. The epitome of despair. A book of premeditation. A meat grinder in his trunk. The Joel guy should've made his plan. He should've just read fuck. He could not conceive his parents would fight him. They made him this monster. Or was that despite them? Cruel intentions. Cruel intentions. Twisted mind at play. He has to plan and make his parents pay no remorse. His heart turned black. Seeking revenge, there's no turning back. Chaos unleashed. The guy family slain. His parents take seal. Miserable pain. His cold, icy stare filled the jury with fear. They sent him to prison. He'll bring no more fear. He'll bring no more fear. He'll bring no more fear.
No, he hasn't.
You're listening to FFOP Radio.
Reach the
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. My name is Dave. This is an abnormal time for FFOP Radio, but it's, Labor Day weekend. I decided we'll do something a little bit different. As you can see, we've got StreamYards booted up. It's kind of the free program isn't great, but we're going to do kind of a hangout sesh. We're going to talk about whatever. We're talking about Ninja Turtles in the Discord. We're probably going to talk about that. Sorry that you are suffering from COVID, Ice Truck Thriller. That does suck. I mean, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. How's everyone? I don't know about them. I'm doing good. If you would like to jump in on this, I have pinned the link in the chat. Whatever, want to come in and talk to me about whatever you want to talk about, that's totally cool. I hope you brought yourself a little something to sip on or eat. But here we are. So what are we doing here? I don't know. The thing is, StreamYards has been one of those things that I've seen used like for lolcows and stuff. Like it seems like I don't want to badmouth it, so I'm gonna stop there. That being said, here we are. If you want to join in, that's totally fine. We were talking about the Ninja Turtles. Looks like everybody has had COVIDs at some point. All the COVIDs. I was the lucky one to get COVID first in this house, and then promptly gave it to our son and then David. Yeah, I had it for weeks. It was a real bitch, but now it's gone. Right. That's the thing. Like for For some people, it's like they get it and they go, chew. And they go, oh, you had COVID there for like 13 seconds. Not me. It was days and days and days. I never lost my taste or anything.
I did. I unlike the last leg of me testing positive for it, I woke up one day and was like, oh no, I can't smell my coffee. And then I knew.
She could not wake up and smell the coffee. Let me turn
I couldn't. It's true.
a little bit of this background music.
I've also never had the vid. That's good.
The vid. Never had the vid. The Rona. It was so weird when that shit was popping. Everybody had like a little nickname for it. I heard the Rona, the vid, all that shit. But
oh yeah, it was gone for like maybe 2 weeks, and then it came back.
The Vid and Co. Now, barring everything else, we're and that is literal. I cannot show you almost anything because, like, with the free version of this software, you can look at me and that's it. You pop on, you can look at yourself if you want, but I can't show anything. So we're just going to be talking about stuff now. To jump into something aside from COVID, because as fun as it is to talk about that,
Let's talk about cars.
We can either talk about cars. Well, I wanted to run something up everybody's flagpole if you're willing. And if you're not, call in and tell me what you want to talk about or put it in the chat. But FDO there in the Discord was talking, or maybe I started talking about whoever. Somebody started talking about team ups with the Ninja Turtles. Mm-hmm. And, the layup was with Daredevil because it's, they're essentially the bastard offspring of the Daredevil lineage. If you're not familiar, I feel like everybody knows. Obviously, I doubt you'll be able to call in Ice Truck since you are suffering with the Rona, the Vid, and the Co. All at the same time. But so, whatever. I was like, the essence of a good team up, to me anyway, feels like you're going to have people on the same level. And with the Ninja Turtles, there's not many powers at their disposal. I mean, Donnie's got all of his little
tech things,
but like that, even compared to other tech heroes and or villains, he's a non-entity. Because he put, I guess kind of like he had Deadpool and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I could get behind that. I kind of see that, but here's the thing. Deadpool to me walks a fine line, at least in the comics, because I'm not a huge fan of turn into camera and being like, do you believe this? The fourth wall breaking, what did I get? I'm looking at my comic shelf right now. I think I bought a big thing of Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe or whatever it's called. And whatever. I saw it coming from a mile away, but it still felt a little bit like a kick in the dick because I think he kills the writer of the comic in that one.
Oh, that's kind of funny.
It was a big meh, but there are so many good ones. And I was trying to think of other street level, not the Avengers, but who are the street level, Luke Cage,
Jessica Jones, and all those people.
Yeah, the Defenders.
The Defenders,
Avengers, because you got to wait until something goes down before you can avenge it. But the Defenders keep people away before shit happens.
Like Iron Fist.
Deadpool and Michelangelo would be a little too much, says Jameson. I believe I agree, simply because Mikey is that one who's always breaking the fourth wall. I don't know if you've seen the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Batman mashup where they get together to fight Shredder, who teams up with an uneasy alliance with Ra's al Ghul, and it's meh. I get it. I am not a huge fan of Ra's al Ghul, but I think that animated feature, if you want to call it that, is perhaps maybe the best latter-day Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle property I've seen. All the turtles feel right. Mikey feels right. Donnie, Leo, everybody feels right. Batman doesn't feel wrong. Even Shredder shows up and does his little thing with Batman. And, not for nothing, if you want to talk nerdy shit, which we're here to do, it just feels because I'm in my head canon, I'm basically the diamond at the crown jewel in this lineage is the TMNT live action movie. So in my head, Shredder is better than all 4 turtles combined because he takes them out. So when he is fighting Batman, they both like, I don't know, they seem pretty evenly matched, but Shredder, I don't know, maybe this happens in the comics too, but he's got like this weird Shaolin, like splitting the ball, sweeping clouds move where like he can basically just give you a big double punch and you die.
Right. He murders you.
It's like the touch of death a la Bart Simpson where he's like, whoa. And like, I don't know. It felt a little gimmicky because like Shredder doesn't have the bat belt with all the shit in it. He just has like a few knives that are stuck on him. It's not like Shredder has like anti-turtle spray or any of that other goofy shit that all the Batman iterations had. So I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like it's going to be hard to beat that team up because it was handled so masterfully. And when you have a bunch of heroes and villains who don't necessarily have any powers other than being like real smart or real good fighters, that's like the sweet spot.
I think like an Iron Fist and the Turtles could be interesting just because like they could learn something from each other in the end because they have like the way they learn their different things. And
I guess, but like Iron Fist does not, whatever, Power Man, aka Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, aka whatever his fucking name is. It's a big fat who gives a shit to me because I don't know. Your first impression is always your strongest, right? So for Iron Fist and Power Man, as it was back in the day, let me pull something out for you. Zip. No. So I've got like all of my like Marvel Universe and Marvel Masterpiece cards here. So when I was like looking through here to be like, oh, what's a good team up? I go, oh man, Power Man and Iron Fist. And you can be like, I don't know if you can see that. Like it's this guy's right here. They're very 70s. So it's like, I don't know, man. It's got like Power Man, aka Luke Cage, looks like he snuck away from like the Parliament and the Funkadelic All-Stars, like to fight crime every once in a while.
Show off the collection, please.
Yeah, I mean, look, because like you can see. First, I had to put the Marvel Masterpieces, and like, if you're not a comic card or collector card person, like this is a good place to start. Because look here, let's go back. There you go, Iron Fist, classic 70s looking dude. So I'm looking through here, and I'm like, who would?
Which year is that? Says
my
FPO.
Marvel Masterpieces are from 1993. My Marvel Universe is from 1992.
Hey, Matt.
Gentleman Matt. Yeah, I spent my entire childhood like collecting these cards. I didn't like do the thing that I didn't know was going to be on the table. Like here we are latter day, like you can go into Amazon and just buy boxes of unopened old stock.
Yeah.
I had to go in every fucking week or whenever I got my pittance of allowance and get between 1 and 4 packs. And of course you get a shit ton of do-overs or repeats or whatever you want to call them. So I'm like, let's just look here because it's full of, not only is it full of like the good ones, but it's full of like people and places and things where you go like, how did that person make it? Like, for instance, this character right here, Puma. Whose favorite Marvel character is Puma?
Puma.
The Pumaman.
Matt has a question. He would like to know, how many piercings do you have, and do you have any horror stories?
I've just got the 3 here. I wouldn't call this one a horror story.
The cartilage.
However, like fucking, it was 5 years before I could lay on that side of my head. think about that, people. Like if you have a high like tolerance for pain or whatever, go for it. I'm thinking about getting my eyebrow done eventually or something along those lines.
I say eyebrow. I have my cartilage piercing also, and even now, every once in a while, it still gets sore if I lay on it wrong for a whole night.
I mean, it's not Bartman. Oh yeah, I would say 5 years easy because like I don't know. I went through the whole 9. I'll look at these later for you.
So
But I went through the whole night because, like, when I did this, it was a gauged one, and now this is just a regular old, like, classic in your regular ear hole earring. But I did but my ear did that thing where, like, it swelled up, and I thought I was going to have, like, a keloid, like, cauliflower ear thing. It went away after a few years, but, like, it was getting weird.
Septum was criminally painless, quick healing.
Criminally.
Okay.
Radioactive Man and Fallout Boy. That feels okay. So there are some. Just to let me pull that up, you can see that. So FDO says TMNT, Radioactive Man and Fallout Boy. So do you know of those crazy, like, Archie style Ninja Turtle comics where it looks like John Kay drew them? They look like totally insane Ren and Stimpy characters. That's one of those ones where I go, in a crazy world, I could see it happening. Yeah, the earlobe was painful enough. That was hardly anything, man. I get that in my sleep.
Yeah.
That shit in my sleep. So septum is what? Your nose? The middle of your nose?
It's the middle of your nose,
Okay.
yeah.
Because that's the thing. When I was thinking about doing something different, body modification, I got my tattoos and I got some down there you can't see. But not that they're in a spicy place. I didn't like tattoo a ship on my dick a la Kelsey Grammer in Down Periscope. I didn't do that. But I am constantly kicking around the idea of either getting like the eyebrow done or like the nose. But my allergies are such that I would not enjoy that probably, because every time it rains, and
that would be a bad idea.
Out here of anything, it's just like whoosh, and I don't want like. You just imagine like that liquidy clear snot like hanging off your nose piercing like in a little glistening diamond shimmering globule.
So I'm going to tell my story because why not? I'm proud of them. So I got my girls pierced. Becca, maybe you'd appreciate it. I had like a huge adrenaline rush. I was like, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do it. So, and I had an appointment scheduled, and then I got sick, so I canceled it, and I had to move the appointment out. And I was like, if I just don't go walk in now or see if they have an opening, I'm gonna back out and not do it. So did it, got it done. My adrenaline was so high.
Your Ritalin.
Yeah, my Ritalin was so high.
Ritalin and Zanies.
It hurt. It wasn't terrible. I had a baby, so like it.
Did you get it pierced at Claire's?
No.
Yeah, they put her right in front of that window and that little piercing seat. They squirted her down with sanitizer and they go, okay, whip them out.
I went to a tattoo place that's like highly regarded here near us.
So really quick, everybody, I don't know why for the last like 2 weeks, I've been hearing regarded, highly regarded. Every time I hear that, I watch a lot of lolcows, and you have to say regarded when you mean something else. So every time someone says they're highly regarded, I go, oh, that's a shame. That's a shame.
That's a shame. Anyway, she was really, the woman that did my piercing was really great, yada, yada, yada. I drive all the way home. And then, I didn't have a chance to really look at them, like, at the place. I wasn't going to just stand there in front of her, like, with shirtless longer than I needed to. So then I look at myself, and all of a sudden, the adrenaline, everything dropped, and I was home alone, and literally, like, the point of me passing out was so close to being there, like more than ever before, and I had to keep telling myself, just lay down. I was like pouring sweat. It was disgusting. I was so
like after it's done too. P.S. Like, what a wuss over here. Like, that's like we were walking by in the Tucson Mall. There's just like a tattoo shop because malls are the fucking Wild West again. Like back when I was a kid, you knew what was going to be in a mall. It was like Hot Topic, Buckle, Spencer's, all the shit like Payless, shoes.
Icing, Claire's, all those things.
Claire's, all that shit. Now you can walk in and there's like Snack King. Or like a place where you can sign up to join the Foreign Legion. Or now a tattoo parlor, and you go. Every time we walk by that place, I go, If
we always have the kid.
Right, that's the thing. If I didn't have a 5-year-old who would immediately like bump the dude's arm and like give me a piercing up here or some shit, I'd go like, I'm down. I don't know.
Yeah, I probably should have stayed there and laid down for a little bit, but like I was in and out of there so fast. It took longer to drive there than anything else. And yes, I probably should have like maybe had some water and like an apple or something. But it was scary because I was home by myself and I was like, I gotta pick up our kid from school.
I don't know. It's one of those things where like, because that was a pass out that you were building up in your mind. Like a legitimate medical emergency pass out, I feel would be different. Like, because you knew, you're like, oh, I'm feeling lightheaded because I'm looking at my cans that are recently pierced. Like I had a nosebleed so bad one day. I was just in the shower and I'm like, whatever. I was outside of the shower getting ready for work and it's dry as hell here because it's Arizona. Nosebleed starts and I go, don't worry about it. I'm hopping in the shower. I'm just going to take care of it in there. And by take care of it, I mean, I'm going to ignore it until it stops. So I'm like, washing my body and my hair. And the water's all pink because it is not stopping. And I must have lost half of my body's blood supply because I was like, the whole shower, I was like, is this ever going? And I was like pinching my nose. I'm like, nope. I was just like, all right, I'm just going to die in the shower. But there was like, that wasn't a thing I couldn't have stopped. Like I couldn't have been like, just calm down. You're not actually losing all your blood.
Right.
No, it was, but that's where we are. Yeah, there's no real horror stories. I know a lot of people like to do a bunch of crazy body modification. If I had the money and the time, I would probably like blow out this arm to get these. Like, because I got these when I was 18 or 20 or something. So when I was super young, I would blow out and do like my whole arm if I had the money. But like, tattoos are expensive, and like when you look at people. I don't know. It's the same feeling I had like in the old days when like smartphones started happening and you had to buy them and they were very expensive. And you'd see some scumfuck with a better phone than you and you go like, what the fuck, dude? Because you see a dude, he's got a full sleeve. It's like $5,000. And you know, he's driving a clapped out 1987 Honda Accord. And you go like, dude, where'd that money? Like, get something, whatever.
Next time use Kleenex. You didn't have to take a shower.
I know I didn't have to take a shower, but it was I was going to work but that's the thing. Here's the thing. If you live in a dry environment, you're probably going to get nosebleeds. My kid had one literally the other day, but he's starting to pick his nose. So there's that. But like, you've ever been at work or at a desk job and you get a nosebleed and you can just like, everything is normal and you just feel like the drip and you go, oh my God, here, like you might as well like put on a fucking clown nose and wig. Cause like, there's nothing you can do. You have to either sit there with your nose pinched or just like cram a butt. So one of your nose holes, your nostrils, the medical term, one of your nostrils is just like blown out with a fistful of toilet paper or whatever. Kleenex you got to shove up there. And I go, yeah, hang with the.
This man really would get rid of his left arm.
Yeah, totally. Just blow it out. But yeah, so that's whatever. If you came up in the same generation I did, or like maybe all parents or most parents are like this, they go, don't ruin your body. And like, I don't know. I didn't care like that. There are so many people on like Instagram or Facebook or whatever, where you go like, people like, I don't know why anyone would do this, but like when a hot chick gets covered in tattoos, there's always like some simp out there who's like, if you didn't have those tattoos, you'd be mega hot. And I go, dude, those cans are rocking. Just because they got a little ink on them doesn't mean that anything wrong with them. Like, don't be one of those people. Mm-hmm. Like I had a friend in high school who had like such high standards for a girlfriend. It was like he was waiting for a 6 foot tall, blonde haired, blue eyed nun who would turn into a slut as soon as she saw his dick. And I go, never going to happen. And guess what? Last I checked, and it's been probably 15 years since I've seen him, still kept his V card intact. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't able to find that pious woman who was ready to just go ape over his hog. My friend was Robert Crumb, as a matter of fact.
I got my nose pierced as an adult after moving out. My mom still called me to complain about it when she found out.
Right. I was an adult by the time I got all my shit done. And I knew that there was nothing anybody could do about it. Cause like, I just went in, I was like, hey, I want a tattoo on my leg. And I came home and my parents were like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah, what are you going to do?
It's already there.
Ground me? I'm an adult. They probably could have kicked me out, but that wasn't going to happen. Like we weren't on that level of dysfunctional. We were dysfunctional for sure, but not that level. Like no one ever punched holes in our walls or anything like that. But ooh.
If my dad knew, like if I talked to my dad and he knew I got this tattoo, regardless of the sentiment of it, like he would have something to say all the time when he saw me.
I did get grounded. Spoiler alert. No, just kidding.
I got grounded as an adult.
Hey, whatever. I mean, that's part of it too. Is like when you can't look at other people and be like, well, how did that happen? Because their lives aren't yours. Everybody likes to just imagine that their upbringing was like everybody's, and you go, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. You're lucky they didn't take your computer and throw it away.
Yeah, I mean, if they found out what I was up to on LimeWire back in the day, they might have. But I didn't have to take a shower, and they would have just taken my computer and please thrown it away, and then I'd be stuck in the kitchen making like 10 dozen cookies. Because what else are you gonna do? Hey, Pepe, I would say. Yeah, so whatever is on your mind. We don't have to talk about piercings and tattoos all night. We can talk more about Ninja Turtles, or if you want to get into the depths of like the Cars universe, because I've still got questions.
Yeah.
One thing I did want to point out, maybe you'll notice a couple new faces in the roster. I found the Mikey holding the donuts from TMNT2, Secret of the Use, and the Raph from number 2. So there they are. He's offering them to Toka and Razor.
How nice of him.
There's so much shit back here, you guys. It's like stupid. And this is like not even all of it. You can't even see all of it. Like this is the stupid way that my studio looks, and you're going to see 10% of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Anyway, that's whatever. There's a lot of pop cultural issues I've got. Streamlabs crashes my PC. Well, this isn't Streamlabs. This is StreamYard. It's a totally what you call it?
It's a different platform, kind of.
It's through an internet website. It's not like so. I imagine, but let's see. Oh, look at that. We got someone backstage. Let's see
How long have they been backstage for?
We just came back here. Let's see what's going on. Who's this?
Hello.
Are you driving back from Wendy's?
What's that?
I said, are you driving back from Wendy's? Did you pick up a Biggie Fry and a Biggie Frosty? What's going on?
Yeah.
Ryan, would you ever get one of your balls pierced? Honest question. Come on, man. Tell me.
Not my balls. No.
What about the sack? Not the balls, but just a little bit of the sack.
No.
That's not very adventurous of you.
I would like to talk more about Krista Pierce tits, though.
Oh, I bet you would. That's the thing. Here, nobody else will. Okay. They're sensitive, and that's the thing. They go, oh, well, look at this. I got this for you. P.S. Allow 6 to 8 weeks of not getting anywhere fucking near them because they've got a heal. It's like walking out, like you turn 16, right? And you walk out to the garage, and your dad has a Shelby Cobra out there, and you go, "Whoa, that shit is tight!" And he goes, "Yeah, guess what? There's no engine in it, so like in 4 to 8 months, we're gonna get that, put it together, and then maybe you can get behind the wheel. Super fun, super fun. I love that shit."
Krista, I hope I didn't offend you. I was just kidding.
No, you're totally fine. Let's see. James says you're preaching to the choir. I've got Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and Predator figures. Okay, so maybe you have, maybe you haven't. Now it's too late because I made a dozen Jason masks, but they're all at the Mead building on the wall because we needed. I've got a cool clock, but I can't show that to you.
That's what Becca says. That's why I can't do nip knobs. I sleep on my tummy. I sleep on my sides, and so even then, sometimes if like if I move a certain way, man, like
that's what I'm saying. Like there are some places where it's like, if you get there a year after the fact, or it was in the past, you go, "Hey, check these out. I've had these for a while." You go, "Nice." But like, if I were to get my schwanz pierced, like it would be like a no-go for God knows how long.
Yeah, you'd be closed for business for a while.
Like, yeah, and even like an accidental boner would probably be ultra painful. Anyway, Ryan, where are you headed? What's going on?
Oh, I was just coming home. I had to make a quick run to Target and return something, and I just wanted to jump on and talk to you guys.
You had to return your uniform because you said, "Fuck you guys, I'm out of here."
Well, there was that too, but no, I just had something I wanted to return before I go on my trip tomorrow.
Oh,
man.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know,
So-
Ryan is one of those jet setters. Like, I don't know. Let me liken it to this. And this is going to be a reference nobody's going to get. But back in the old days, I used to listen to Adam Carolla on the radio before he went all like whatever he is today.
Mm.
But like him and Teresa Strasser would be like the number 1 and 2 people, but their sound guy Brian was constantly going off on wine tasting tours and he was making like no money, and they were constantly like, what's going on with that? I feel like there are just some people. Ryan, you're one of these people who you go like, I want to go somewhere, and you do it. Whereas like I would go like, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, people stress me out, and I get anxious very easily. So God bless you, man. I can't believe you do all these crazy things.
Yeah, this is one of my yearly trips. I go to every year down to Chester, Illinois, which is the home of Popeyes, where Popeyes' creator was born. And every year on the weekend after Labor Day, there used to be a 3-day Popeye festival with, parade and carnival and all kinds of stuff. They don't do it anymore, but a lot of the fan club members still get together and we have a good time.
And maybe that's another thing too. Is like when you're on the east side, when you're east of the Mississippi, there's so many more places to go and things to see. Like I would love to go to Providence, Rhode Island, and check out Lovecraft's stomping ground. The closest we got is like I can go to Tombstone and you can like see where all those dudes got shot. But like I don't know, that's not one of my favorite things to do. So you're lucky to be near all the shit that like you want to do, because out here it's like you got ghost towns and other ghost towns.
One of these days we'll get back east.
Yeah, Becca says Providence is magical, and I would like to think that.
I've been there once from living back there, but I don't like flying, so like we can take a road trip.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But that's part of it too. Is like any trip that takes any amount of time or energy or money, I go, I want to stay here. With my comic cards.
You guys, if you guys come back through Chicago, I'll buy you dinner.
Ooh.
I don't know if I'm ever going to go back to Chicago, man. I spent like 8 months there, and I go, I don't know.
Did you ever go to the Billy Goat?
The Billy Goat?
Yeah,
No.
From Saturday Night Live, cheeseburger.
No, never did. Like as much of a loner as I am now, I was 10 times that in Chicago because I moved out there, didn't know anybody. I just got a wild hair in my ass because my friend's like, come out and live with me. And I go, sure. And I go, oh no, when I got there because it was a bad idea.
Mm-hmm. You ever go to Atlantic City?
Didn't ever go to Atlantic City, but I'm not a good driver at night. Ryan is obviously. He's handling those clothes.
Yeah.
I want to see you pull like a fast. Can you spin out for us in a parking lot, Ryan? Do some donuts. That would really,
Yeah, sure.
really spice up the show. Just see some.
Especially since I'm not on camera.
Yeah, just don't look at the don't point the camera towards your speedometer, but like I'll hear the peeling tires, and we'll all be happier for it.
Yeah, and then the siren, and then the ticket.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I didn't do nothing.
Oh, yeah. Please, Ryan, get pulled over and pull that sovereign citizen shit. Like when he comes over to the door with his flashlight, roll the window down like a quarter of an inch and be like, "Yes, sir."
Excuse me, I'm not driving. I'm traveling.
Yeah, I'm traveling. You don't have any jurisdiction over me, officer, so I'll be on my way. And then we get to see Ryan get his ass kicked by a cop.
I don't consent to being called that name. Objection.
You want some your jurisdiction of evidence or whatever? You have to produce the state of Indiana if you want me to accept this ticket. He's
Exactly.
Ice Truck's actually a Soviet citizen.
Soviet citizen.
My God.
I'm on a live stream with my internet law expert.
Oh yeah, hold up! Like they're gonna take me super seriously, but when you get pulled over, be like, "This is my lawyer," and I'm like, "If it doesn't fit, you must have quit." And then you just see like the Billy Club hit him on the head. Man,
You have to do the lawyer voice, though.
Oh yeah, the lawyer. Oh, I'll get. Oh, I gotta have like. I need like a snazzy hat. See, that's the thing. I was this close to wearing like a suit jacket for this, and that would have probably gotten you off scot-free.
Yeah.
But yeah. All I can help you with is more time in jail, which I'd be happy to help with because I think it'd be hilarious.
Nah, I'm good.
So, So what's up with the rest of the night, Ryan? You got a long weekend ahead of you. What's going to happen?
Oh, I'm actually going to be down there for a week. I'm just going to be taking my sweet ass time and just hanging out in the Popeye Museum and visiting my friends.
God damn.
Just taking it easy. I've got a really nice Airbnb lined up. It's a cabin up in the woods of southeast Missouri.
Is it by Camp Crystal Lake?
I'll send pictures.
Please do. Throw something in the Discord there. So let's see what Ice Truck Phil has there. So I saw sitting a few places online. It was bummed. Found out it's instead for Soviet citizen. Yeah, that would be a bummer, right? They're not flying the sickle and hammer. But here's the thing. But to touch upon something that we were talking about earlier,
there is a really fascinating.
No, hit me with it. Hit me.
There's a fascinating cold case unsolved murder in the area that I'm going to that you should look into. It's a woman. Her name is Lynn Messer, Lynnmesser, and everyone's pretty sure that her husband killed her because her body was found on her property, or on their property, like a year after she went missing, and it's very, very questionable, and it's a fascinating story.
That is weird. There are some cases out there like that though, where like someone disappears, we know how it happened now because like everything has come out in the wash. But like Leticia Stalk with Gannon, like when his body, like they were in Colorado, right? And like when his body popped up in Florida, I go, what the fuck? Because like that's Levante Lazar levels of stupid, driving like 8 states over to buy $100 a weed or whatever. But so far, it's like the only thing that she put a little time and energy and thought into. It's like, well, if the body is like 17 states away, maybe that'll help. But
right, but you're also driving all the way there.
Yeah.
So
not a good look. But I do agree with what Becca says. You should definitely leave like a little creepy stick formation at the cabin. Maybe do like a bunch of little wickets in the place.
Oh yeah.
Not the bees.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh man.
Uh-huh.
Or like a Blair Witch style, or I don't know what's like spooky and folklory. I like all the things that like my horror niche is like cosmic horror, so like a few sticks wouldn't like do shit for me.
It would for some
Real
people.
quick, since you brought up Nicolas Cage movies, have you heard that they're going to have Nicolas Cage play John Madden in a Madden biopic?
I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
Like, for the life of me, I don't know what the fuck they're thinking.
Well, I'm sure what they're thinking is like, our budget is this many dollars, and we'd like to get someone expensive, but Nicolas Cage, I'm sure, still needs the cash. And I don't know. It does feel strange because Nick Cage's best characters are like the put upon strange everyman who essentially cracks, like, or starts crazy. He has to either end crazy or start crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like a semi bad example, maybe if you saw Renfield when he plays Dracula in that, it didn't feel like he got the room to stretch his legs in that part. He should have been way crazier, to me anyway.
Yeah, he wasn't super Nicolas Cage.
So Jameson, is this going to be a solo act, or you think he's going to invite a lady over? I have not seen Mandy yet, but I want to. Like that, it's one of those movies that it looks like it was billed to me, and like I saw it was like with the multiple moons and stuff. I go, oh, is this like a different planet, like a cosmic horror sort of thing? But I think it's just him breaking, like, mentally. He's like having a psychotic episode after Mandy gets killed. But I might double down on The Color Out of Space. Have you seen this, Ryan?
Oh,
No.
Oh my god,
he's bananas.
He's fucking banana bonkers. But it's one of the best fourth wall breaks I've seen from Nicolas Cage, and I think he didn't even know he was doing it. It was written into the script. Like, just to like the high points of the movie. Color from Space comes down, starts fucking with this little farm and all the family in it, and like, if you read the story, you know what's going on. But it's slowly driving them all crazy, and these news people show up to like interview them because like the meteor happened. They want to get some footage of that shit, and like there's Nicolas Cage on the news acting crazy, and his hair's all crazy, and like while they're watching the news footage, he's like, "Why didn't anybody tell me my hair looks crazy?" And like there's like a 5 or 10 minute diversion where he's like berating his family for how his hair looks, and I go like, "Oh, that's like all the time with Nicolas Cage." So. But still, perfect.
Well, I am back home now, so I'm going to let you go. But I'm going to send you something about that cold case. You'll get an interest out of it, I think.
Yeah, I'll take a look and see if we've got some footage we can review for the show. I appreciate it, my friend. That's present day intern Ryan Maxwell, everybody.
All right, and I will get my name back up on their Shrimpinator. You just wait and see.
See, nobody's got it now. You got to work to fight for that prize. Although I still have the card, so we'll see how the future the treats us. But hey, Ryan, thanks for calling in, man.
No problem. Talk to you later.
Adios, my friend. There we go. See, it's easy as that. You can call in from on the road. Now, shame on Ryan because you shouldn't be talking on the phone and driving. And if he'd gotten killed, this would have ended up in a most horrifying live streams on YouTube compilation, but thank God we didn't get there. Yeah, do the right thing, people. I mean, I'll give Ryan a pass.
He seems like he knows what he's doing.
I was giving you shit. Yeah. So now I want to talk a little bit about horror movies around like the Lovecraft lineage. Wouldn't be be funny though.
Be funny.
Be funny. Oh man, like I don't know. Like if you want to get into, let's talk about horror movies for just a sec, because Jameson brought up Kiss of the Vampire. He should have had those teeth in Kiss of the Vampire, Jameson, but he wasn't a vampire. I mean, that was another movie where Nicolas Cage just has a psychotic break and he shouts the alphabet at, oh God, what's her name? I feel like she was also the lady in, was it The Running Man? She's a Latina actress. It's been so long since I've seen that movie, but if you want to get into like the Lovecraft lineage of movies, you can definitely see Dagon. I would flip a coin for The Shadow over Innsmouth because
that's what I was going to ask you, if they made a movie of that one.
They kind of, it's just called Innsmouth, I think. And they could not, enough or nothing. I don't want to be like denigrative to people, but like there's a concept in The Shadow over Innsmouth where, I don't know the concepts, but the crux of it is like everybody in Innsmouth is half human and half deep one, which are ichthytic, batrachian monster creatures that live forever, and they want to fuck humans for whatever reason. That is never really clear to me because they don't really feel like they want to take over the world, but they've got these bulging eyes that kind of look like fish frog people. And in the movie version, it's like an art house thing. So like the main character, who in the story he's never named, but I think in the movie his name is Gilman and he's related to the Gilman house or whatever, but he's like I forget why this is important, but he's gay. And I go, well, what does that serve in the story? Because I think he's like shows up for his mom's funeral. Oh, I think I know why. Because again,
they wanted to have sex with humans.
The classic, like perfect casting. They had Tori Spelling with her big bug eyes playing one of the Innsmouth folk. And she, I think, drugs the main character and like has sex with him to get his DNA into the lineage or whatever. But he screamed the alphabet to the mayor from the Dragnet movie. I don't remember who was the mayor in the Dragnet movie, but again, all that's sort of falling out of my head. I do remember him shouting the alphabet at, it's alphabetical order. We all know. But there were also a couple movies put out by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society they made a silent version of the Call of Cthulhu because they wanted to keep it time period accurate. So it's black and white and silent. Oh, and it was good. I mean, compared to a real movie, it's not good. But for,
What they were going for?
8 people spending $40,000 in a garage, awesome. The Whisper in Darkness, however, was really disappointing. Yeah. And it's always the same pitfalls. Because there's some horror stories that don't need a love interest. They don't need a character arc. They just need a put upon every man experiencing something crazy.
Yeah.
And that's what Whisper in Darkness is. It's about a guy who goes to meet this doctor. And like the main character is a guy who's like against folklore and shit. But this is a letter writing campaign. Moral of the story, it sucks. We got someone backstage here, so let me invite him up. We got Shrimpinator, DePimpinator. Some broke dude says, "It's happening, Shrimpinator."
Hello.
What's up, my friend? How's it hanging?
Going pretty good. I usually
what do you wanna
don't
talk
do
about?
this, so I'm a bit nervous.
You're
I
a bit
guess.
nervous. Don't worry about that. This is the least professional thing you'll ever be involved with ever. So the stakes can't be lower.
Still pretty high.
So let's talk about Shrimpinator here for a sec. I don't want to dox you or nothing, but Shrimpinator and I have a very close connection to the 90s, and one of us has lived through it, and the other one, it's like seeing it from a anthropological point of view. So it's interesting to me that you exist, Shrimpinator, because you're like half my age. You're like classic decoy age levels compared to me, but you still know about what we're all talking about here in the 90s typically.
Yes, for clarification for everyone, I was born in 1998. I'm 26 years old.
Insane.
But I don't know exactly what it is. I just have fondness for mostly early to mid 90s, late 80s, like in that era. A lot of my favorite music, comic books, movies, TV shows just come from that era. And I'm still knowledgeable about prior stuff, usually leading back to like the mid 60s at the earliest.
Yeah, like you're going to be born into a family. We're going to have older people than you sharing that stuff. So I get it. It's just, I very seldom come across somebody, because I've got friends who are in love with every decade. Like one of my buddies, his house is it's an homage to the 40s. Like everything in his house is between 1940 and 1960 era. Like all of his furniture, he's got a black and white tube TV. And I've always found someone in each decade, except for the 90s. No one seemed to give a shit, but I knew it was going to happen. I fucking knew it, and I knew it was probably going to happen right about now. Because in the 90s, people were butt-ass crazy in love with the 60s.
Yeah.
Like, when I was in high school, like monkeys and pirates and shit like that were the pop cultural, like, random word association bullshit. But in elementary school and junior high, it was like hippies and fucking afros and shit. I never liked it. I wanted it to be the 90s, but we were thinking about the 60s. Shit. Oh, yeah. Jameson brings up the 90s Woodstock. Oh.
Which one?
The one in 94, I imagine. That's like the biggest one? Like that was the biggest flop, I imagine?
I'd say the 99 one's worse just due to the fires and rioting and all the other nasty stuff that went down.
Right. So,
I mean, Fred Durst is like, hey, where'd you get that plank of wood from? And they started tearing apart wood paneling off everything. And yeah, it was a disaster.
It was so fucking, I remember because I was alive in 1994. Full disclosure, I'm an old man. But like, I didn't have cable, so I was over at my cousin's house who did have cable. Like Woodstock 94 was happening. And, the interstitials, all the VJs or whatever would show you clips and talk about how Woodstock 94 is going. And I'll never forget there was just like a guy who looked like Brendan Fraser from Encino Man walking around in the mud, surrounded by people, butt ass naked. Like he was just like the camera was following him. I saw a full crack. Nothing was blurred. I saw the crack from top to bottom. And like he's just like walking around being like, hey, yo, what's going on? And they like eventually interviewed the dude. And he's like, yeah, I just one day, like I want to say like he woke up and his clothes were gone, like from an acid trip, and he just like stripped them off. And like he's like, nobody cared, so I didn't either. And like imagine being that camera guy and like how do I want to say this? You'd be torn.
Did he have a long John Lennon ass crack?
I don't know, because like he had a normal looking plump butt. Like he didn't have one like my ass is like literally straight from back to calf. Like whoosh, I got no ass.
It's true.
He has a regular butt, and so I go, oh whoa. But like it was just such a crazy ass experience because he's like, hey man, what's going on? And like, but anyway, like the cameraman, I empathized with him because he's carrying probably 20 pounds of gear, looking at this dude, and he's got framed, shoulders up. And I want to be like, I want to see what his internal conflict is like, to be like, did he open the other eye to check out the dong? Did he keep it tightly closed? Like, did he do a quick swipe down and then like take a copy of the VHS cassette home later?
VHS cassette.
Oh, he looked down. He looked down. It's like one of those things when guys go to the urinals and they look at the guy next to him like, what they got going on?
I don't know, man. I have never purposefully, like sometimes you just like stretch and like you don't realize anybody is there, or like someone will walk up next to you and you just go, ah, and you like lean over and you get an eye full of dong. But
I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I no longer use urinals if there's another person in the bathroom because of that. People will try to look over.
Yeah.
This has happened numerous times.
I don't like, I've never been one to like look over to see if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence myself, but I have like in an unknown amount of movies, like after the theater lets out, you're like, oh, and like, if you're a dude, you do that thing, we just go, oh, and just sort of zone out, eyes closed, mouth open as the piss drains out of you. And you ever like 6 times out of 10, you come to and you go, oh, and you go like, huh? And you look over and this dude is like, and you go, hey man, what's happening?
I've never had that problem. Yes, Melissa, there is music playing in the background.
Oh yeah, playing background music.
Yes. How broke is this dude? And he says broke.
Very broke. Brandon, it was Brendan Fraser. Yeah, but this was like before he got
George of the Jungle.
Yeah. Oh my God. What a sad time to be Brendan Fraser.
Encino Man was actually one of my favorite childhood movies. No joke. I watched that movie like at least 30 times, like the first month I got it on DVD.
I enjoyed and see, that's the thing. I was not a Pauly Shore fan. Like in the Goofy movie, totally fine. Like he can be as zany as he wants because he's a side character and he can eat as much fucking squeezy cheese as that character likes. But oh God, there are some people who I just could not wait for pop culture to get over. And I feel like the first time I felt that legitimately was Pauly Shore.
And then Tom Green came along and he was like that next evolutionary step.
And wait, who was it?
Tom Green.
Oh yeah, but he was like crazy.
Yeah, there's that evolutionary step. You just push it further and further.
FFOP Radio, we have saved messages with you and our 14-year-old female decoy. We're handing the evidence to your location. We have the authorities right now. Oh, geez. What do you think I am, Cyrax? No, but yeah, like Pauly Shore was one of those guys who I just couldn't. Like, did you see Biodome?
I was about to bring up Biodome. I could not get through Biodome.
I couldn't even make it through a commercial of Biodome. I was like, yo. And like, I live in the same state as Biodome 2, Return of the Killer Biodome.
That's a real? I've never heard of that.
Well, it's not. I think that it's not called that, obviously, but like it's because they did have the first one, and it was a huge like flop, right? Because like it's impossible for humans to take a glass house and turn it into like a working ecosystem. But they tried it again, and so Biodome 2 or Biosphere or whatever they fucking call it is literally 2 hours away from me and open to the public, and I've always taken a hard pass when driving by.
Yeah.
Bad movie of the 90s that I still love. Obviously somewhat ironic, but I get a good laugh out of it is Chairman of the Board from Carrot Top.
Yeah.
No?
That was not on my radar. Negative.
It was like an infamous flop. The love interest actress of the film, she went on Conan O'Brien, and Norm Macdonald was on there at the same time. And that's where she revealed that she was working on a movie with Carrot Top called Chairman of the Board, and Norm just tore it apart. He was like, "Oh, you should call it Box Office Poison." He even said, "Oh, it's Chairman of the Board. I heard board was spelled B-O-R-E-D."
Man, he was so fucking savage. Like, but the 90s was one of those, maybe the only decade that had a healthy mix of like legitimate movies and shit they just tried to see if it worked. Because it wasn't until like whatever Jaws or whatever to call the first blockbuster that they go, okay, let's just try other things. Like you could do it to a 10, like the TMNT movie, or you could really phone it in. And it was the first time I remember seeing something in the theater and being like, how did this happen? I was still, back then I was still young enough to be stupid enough to think that all movies were made by the same company. So that was a rude awakening when like, maybe it was even Biodome that did it. And I go, who did this? Like this, what I want is not Stephen Baldwin. What I want is Alec Baldwin in the 1994 classic, The Shadow.
What's like 90s are an interesting time for movies because the 80s were just like hot. Like those, I mean, debatably some of the best movies ever made throughout that whole decade. You get to the 90s and you have like a lot of these indie production companies coming up, just releasing straight to video. You have all these straight to video sequels.
Even
and
Disney
movies
was
just
doing
took
that
a
shit.
turn in general.
Yeah, it was just like
Disaster films made a comeback. They were hot in the 70s. They went away, and then they came back in the 90s with like Twister and Volcano and Dante's Peak and Armageddon.
Yo, was it Dante's? Refresh my. Have you seen Dante's Peak?
I have not. I'm not much of a movie person, but
I am not either. But I remember seeing Dante's Peak, and there's okay. It's kind of like. Have you seen the Roger Corman movie Piranha?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so you know when the old scientist like gets out of the boat and for absolutely no justifiable reason pushes the boat to the shore even though they were headed there and he gets eaten alive by the piranha?
Yes.
And you go, why the fuck are you doing that? At least I was. That same sort of shit happens in Dante's Peak where like it's a grandma, a kid, and maybe it's two kids and a grandma, and there's I think maybe Pierce Brosnan if he was the main character in this little canoe. And they're in a lake that has been like supercharged with sulfuric acid. And so the water is super acidic. It's eating through the boat. And they are within spitting distance from the dock. Like my arm plus 6 inches and they'd be fine. And the grandma's like, I got this. And so she jumps in the water, pulls on the 6 inches, and she dies like immediately.
Amazing.
But again, Piranha did it so much better. Like Piranha had the drunk guy who's like, I made this for my son, but we don't get along because I'm a drunk. And he's like, I'll save the day. Why? Fucking perfect movie though. Watch if you have not anybody in the chat, if you have not seen the Roger Corman, Jaws ripoff Piranha, one of the best.
Look, I mean, it doesn't take itself seriously, like at all. And it's directed by Joe Dante, so I mean that's a good sign.
Yeah, it's such a fucking good movie. Like there are some that just it's not compelling story-wise. It's not masterfully shot. It's not well acted. But it's like The Last Dinosaur in that, like, for me anyway, that color palette, the acting style, and everything about it is just like, I don't know, eating a big bowl of your favorite whatever. I don't even care what it is. A big bowl of hot dogs.
In terms of Jaws, I guess knockoffs, movies that were obviously exist because of it, Piranha's probably your second best option. And then maybe like Orca, maybe.
Yo, Orca was fucked.
Yeah.
That was a fucked movie. What were you going to say, Krista, before we talk about Orca? Because I got some stuff to say about Orca.
No, it doesn't. I don't want to change the subject.
Oh, Alligator was okay. Alligator was okay, Jameson. But if you haven't seen Orca,
swimming pool, an alligator is so like. Do you remember that?
It's pretty great. It's been a while since I've seen it, but like all those big animal movies. But there was. Okay, so here's the thing. There was only one movie that felt to me like the villain of the movie, or like the justification for the killing was there. Like with Jaws, it was just like, it's a big angry shark and he wants to eat all of Roy Scheider's family, right?
Yeah.
But the Orca, like, you could not have, I mean, because, okay, so here's the thing. You got Captain Ahab looking motherfucker. They're going to go out and they get an orca, right? And they pull it on the boat and they're going to kill it or whatever. And it has a baby, but it miscarries its baby onto the deck of the boat. And the captain just sprays it off the boat with a hose.
Huh.
So he killed the mom and the baby. And so it's the dad. And like there was motivation there. Mm-hmm. And so this killer whale is hunting him a la a reverse Captain Ahab and Moby Dick. And it is so fucking dark, but by the time the dude dies, like it's almost anticlimactic because it's been happening for so long. What you want to see, or at least what I wanted to see, was like him getting ripped to shreds or thrown around like you see on the Discovery Channel when they get their mouths on a seal.
Oh, yeah.
And they whip him around. He just like gets thrown against an iceberg.
Oh.
And he goes, huh, blah, and dies.
Yeah.
Mm.
One part of Jaws that I don't like. Jaws is one of my favorite movies. I have a poster of it right next to me. I don't like that Quint dies, mostly because of the story that he tells earlier about how he survived being in the ocean surrounded by sharks. When what was it? The SS Arizona?
Yeah,
right.
Or was it the Minnesota? I think because the Arizona was bombed at Pearl Harbor, wasn't it?
Okay. I can't remember what the name of the boat was.
It was some state, but yeah, you're right. I don't know.
That's a minor nitpick.
I feel like that is an earned thing. Oh, the Indianapolis, says Jameson. Thank you. I knew it was some place in the U.S. But I felt like that was earned because, like, what other movie? I mean, at least it takes itself seriously. Like, it's been done a million times, like jokingly, but for him to be like, yeah, I saw all my friends eaten by sharks and that was fucked. And so you want to, I don't know, it felt like a gut punch when the shark ate him because it's like an Alanis Morissette song, right? Isn't it ironic? You survive that whole fucking night of sharks and you get taken out by Bruce.
Yeah. If it was more like the book, have you read the book?
Negative.
Yeah, don't. It sucks. But like the book, what's Richard Dreyfuss's character's name? I forgot right off the top of my head.
Fuck. I don't know.
The guy who studies sharks. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Him and Brody's wife are like having an affair. Everyone in the book sucks. Like they're just all assholes. But if that was more like how it was, Hooper. If everyone was more like how they were in the book, I would hope Hooper would just like die. Like he'd be the one to die in the movie, getting eaten like out of the cage.
Yeah. But that does bring up a good point because I was talking about Lovecraft movies earlier because like you cannot, I shouldn't say you can't because sometimes it happens and it works out okay, but more often than not, a book is 17 movies worth of material. Mm-hmm. And you just can't fit that. You have to trim, and so you're not going to please anybody because it's going to feel rushed and tanked or whatever. The perfect like allegory or whatever for a not an allegory, but like a crossover, if you will, for movies are short stories, because the movie Mimic, are you familiar?
I am not.
Oh, so fucking good, because it's based off a short story. You don't need, and the plot points are like giant bugs that can mimic humans are running around New York and killing people. And it's just that. It's like a concise little story about these people who find a problem and then get scared shitless because they have giant flesh-eating cockroaches running around and looking like humans.
Gross.
And there wasn't like any extraneous love story. There wasn't any, like, nobody has a character arc necessarily. Like, by the time you get to Mimic 4, it's blown out, much like Sharks, or not Sharks, but Jaws' asshole was, where it's like, what? But that's part of the problem, is like, if you don't know there's a book, you can enjoy the movie, but if you know the two exist, you have to tread very lightly. Because I kept screwing myself over. I kept reading the book first and watching the movie and going like, well, why did the movie suck so bad?
Yeah. That happens
Sometimes
a lot.
you get the opposite, where the book sucks, movie's
Right.
better. Obviously, Jaws, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Fight Club.
Right. I would throw my hat into the ring for Relic as well. Seen that?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it though.
It's another one that was sort of mishandled, but it's mostly intact. So it's part of my favorite series of books, the Pendergast series, where he's like an FBI agent that goes, and everything has like a slight, what you want to call it, like sci-fi air to it. There's always something that feels like it's a demon or a ghost or whatever. They go, oh, it was just a microwave gun that was cooking people from far away. The moral of the story is, like, they basically did that okay, because you don't really need a bunch of like character intensive scenes when there's a monster loosed in the Chicago Field Museum.
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. I think I've seen that. It was a while ago. I thought you were talking about a newer movie called Relic.
No, they did have, I think they have another one out there that isn't related, but this one, yeah, is like they bring back the Cathoga monster, and it was kind of also handled a little badly because like the what you call it, the exposure for all the cameras is way down. They think they did too much in the dark, but I mean, that's what I would say. I would give it a pass, because the movie is okay and the book is good.
Yeah.
None of them, like when you sit them next to each other, one doesn't look like a pile of diamonds, the other one looks like a pile of shit.
I heard of that one from Good Bad Flicks. That's where I heard of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I heard you brought him up, and I've been watching him for like almost 10 years now.
Oh yeah, he, like, back in the old days, he was actually on the show when this was just a podcast.
Oh,
like,
wow.
he came on and did like a solid hour and 45-minute interview with me, and like we even reviewed a movie together. I think we did The Traveler that I never released because I was like embarrassed because he was a professional, I wasn't.
I know Dean Koontz novels, like, for whatever reason, he just does not get a good movie. I know fans have a problem with that.
Yeah, but that's just it too. Like, you can't take a full-blown horror book, like all of Stephen King's stuff, like it, no matter how much you love the movie, if you read the book, it's 40 times better.
And then you get to the end in the sewer with the
right. No, that's the thing. There's a little asterisk there, because like all of the weird underage fucking and shit will make you very uncomfortable, as it did me, hopefully. Yeah, I'm glad they didn't keep.
To
But
be
that's
fair, some of Stephen King's stuff could use a little bit of fat trimming, because sometimes he will rant.
agreed.
Because, you know, he was snorting, like, straight up.
Yeah, he definitely.
But
that's the
I've
thing,
read,
like,
The Shining. I think the movie's better, personally. I know a lot of people will be very angry about that, but I like the movie more. I think some of the changes, I mean, there's a reason why The Simpsons shinning is so classic.
Right. That's the thing too. Is sometimes the person making the movie will just make a good movie based on the material, and it's like so far away. Oh yeah, Exhibit A says Jameson Sleepwalkers. Yeah, yikes.
Yeah.
Or like was it Salem's Lot? Or I don't know, man. Like a lot of his stuff, like after I read it, because that was the first Stephen King book I picked up, I go, whoa, this is so good. I see why everybody loves Stephen King. Then I
Quite the
picked up,
challenge.
what did I pick up? I started reading Salem's Lot and I go, oh, this is it again with vampires. And I go, well, let me try something else. Then I did The Stand and I go, oh, this is the same thing again. So I don't know. I'm the type of person when I go to a buffet, I want a little bit of everything and I don't want to come back with the same plate each time. But Stephen King, no matter how high you pile the shit on that plate, it's the same flavor to me.
Yeah. When it comes to horror, for me, my favorite things are anthologies. So like Creep Show might be my favorite horror movie. Not counting like the Boris Karloff Frankenstein movies, if you count that. I love those movies a lot. But
yeah, I totally count those.
Yeah, but Creep Show, if you guys haven't seen it, please do. It's like a comic book come to life.
It's good. When ironically, it has Stephen King in it too, playing that the guy who gets affected by the space.
He was the writer for it, and George A. Romero was the director. I mean, perfect matchup, and it worked. A lot of times, stuff like that will bomb because like they just don't work out. You have two very strong egos, maybe was the right word. It's kind of like super groups. Like you're like, oh, sweet, here's this guy from this popular band, this guy from this popular band. Then they get together and it doesn't work out.
Right, because you can't mix certain flavors together. But I think anthologies are wildly underrated because there's even the bad ones I like. There's like when I was going through, like when Blockbuster was a thing, I would run through that new release horror wall because they would have all the D-list shit up there. And one that I loved, and it was like they probably spent $20 on it, was The Tomb of Terror. It's like 3 or 4 short little interstitials, and like I want to say, oh shit, is it The Wedding Singer where Adam Sandler is gonna marry that chick, that redheaded chick, and he gets with not Demi Moore, Drew Barrymore?
Yeah, that's The Wedding Singer.
Yeah, so she shows up in Tomb of Terror, and I go, oh my God, I know that person. And that doesn't really mean anything to anybody but me. But the fact that, like, I don't know, it's hard to go wrong with anthologies because no matter how shitty any of the stories are, they don't last very long.
Yeah.
Like the Tales from the Dark Side movie.
That's essentially Creepshow 3, to be honest. That one, yeah. But the Tales from the Crypt movie is pretty good. Yeah. I like the show a lot from HBO.
Yeah, how could you?
I have the entire EC horror line of comics. I have all of them. I have Tales from the Crypt and Vault of Horror, Haunt of Fear. I even have all the science fiction stuff. Like that's like some of my favorite. It's just like quick to the point. If the story sucks, well, 5 pages later, you got a new story that you might like.
Bingo. And that's it's underrated, I think. Most people want to like live in a world and feel all these characters going through their shit. I'm like, meh. Like if you have the time and are interested and haven't yet, pick up The King in Yellow. It's just like that. It's a bunch of loosely connected stories all centering around the book The King in Yellow, but they're all wildly different, and the ones that suck, you just sail right through them. And that's the good thing about it. But then the double edge of that sword is like the really bad ones stick out because there are some that are really scary. And there's one where like this guy, he's like the repairer of reputations, and he's like fighting with this cat that no one ever sees, and like it takes his eye out, and like he comes to the door to help this person. He's all fucked up just from a cat. But then there's also stories where it's like a semi-love triangle between these like 2 dudes and this model, and it's very boring, and they fit like one of the artists figures out this formula. Like if you dunk something in this liquid, it turns whatever you dunk in it, if it were alive at one time or another, into like a porcelain replica of it. So they dunk like a lily in it, and it's a beautiful porcelain or like marble, just like rock flower, and they put like a goldfish in it. And like the stinger at the end is like the model can't get over the fact she's got two dudes vying for her, so she jumps in the pool and turns into a statue.
And then they fight over the statue.
Yeah. Well, one of the guys like goes, "Oh my God, I can't handle this." And like he kills himself. And like the day of his buddy's funeral, because they were friends, he comes back from his buddy's funeral. He's dead. The girl who is now a marble statue, she's there on the couch. She's ostensibly dead. And he goes, "Man, my life is shit." But then like he hears something and he goes, "What's that noise?" And he goes over, and the goldfish he turned into marble is like flopping around on the floor. And he goes, "What the fuck?" And he goes over to the lily, and it's fresh and new. And he goes, "Oh, it smells great." And then he looks over, and she's alive.
What?
But dude killed himself legitimately without the puddle. So it's like the worst way to, I don't know, like what every love triangle hopes to end up as. Like no one is really guilty of murder because he killed himself. She jumped in the pond, but now she's okay, and now they can fuck whenever they want. But like, how do you reconcile that shit?
A great love triangle story is Something to Tide You Over from Creepshow, where what's his name from Cheers?
Oh,
Sam from Cheers.
Oh yeah. With God damn it, Ted Danson with
Ted Danson and the guy Leslie Nielsen. That's right. Like after Airplane, he was a bastard in that movie.
That short
I love it.
Fucked my shit up. Like just because I had known Leslie Nielsen from Naked Gun and Police Squad. So to see him be like, "Oh, there goes Sally Decker," and they all freeze, and like the monkey is throwing papers because there's not actually frozen. To have him then like laying on the sand, like staring into Ted Danson's eyes as he's buried to his neck as the tide comes in.
He has that TV set.
Yeah.
With the wife. Though you know who the wife is, right?
It's oh God.
She's the woman from Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna. She did like those two movies. Like she only did movies for George Romero, and then she got out of it.
She did Dawn of the Dead. She did like some slasher flick with someone else, and then that was it. And now she does like documentaries. She makes documentaries. She
went and did moved behind the camera. I remember seeing a talking head interstitial of hers where she's like talking to Romero, who's behind the camera, and she's up to her neck in the sand, and she's like, "I don't think I want to be down here anymore."
But yeah, like the best, and there's a ton of them. There's a ton of like from EC especially, of like these love triangle stories where it's like wife's cheating on, guy finds out, murders them both, but then they both come to life.
Yeah.
And then kill him. And those are way better.
Let me offer you this. Have you seen Harry and the Hendersons?
It's been a while, but yes, I've seen it.
Dear God, I saw that movie 400,000 times over the course of my life.
The makeup effects is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. And like it's the same guy who played Chewbacca or whatever. But I think there might be in there somewhere a love triangle between Jacques the poacher, Don Amici, who's the guy who runs the Bigfoot shop, and Harry. Because like Don Amici and Jacques, like they both like Don Amici's on the side of good, let the Bigfoot be, because I love big feet. Then there's the Mon Dieu, they have a language, and he just wants to shoot him. And then like when they all walk off into the forest, and there's like the whole family of Bigfoots. Oh, Predator. Sorry, not Chewbacca, Predator. But it doesn't feel like at the end of that movie where like Jacques and Don Amici like go live together in the Bigfoot Museum and have a bunch of like old gay sex.
That would be more exciting, let's be honest.
And fucking M. Emmett Walsh
is rated NC-17.
Well, I like M. Emmett Walsh is John Lithgow's dad. I love him too when he's like, because like what's his name? Lithgow's an artist, and he's like, I want a Bigfoot. So he gives him like the normal looking Bigfoot. But then like, I just don't. Here's the thing. A lot of that movie now as an adult, I go, what the fuck? Because he asked John Lithgow to make a Bigfoot drawing. And he goes, great, here it is, boink. But then the dad just makes a crazy angry looking one just as good as John Lithgow's. And I go, if you both have the same artistic talent, why be like, hey, son, who I definitely think is a puss, make me up a... Because he didn't ever want to go hunting or anything.
Right. You can't quit because of this?
Well, you know what they say about big feet? Big boots.
Big man. Oh, yeah. And then it was because of this. Yeah, such great character actors. And like with the chicken allegory with the fat lady going into the hot tub.
Oh, yeah.
What a great movie. And like when...
I'll have to make my wife rewatch it with me.
You must. I have it on DVD.
He made me watch it because I had never seen it before. We reviewed it. Didn't we do a review on it?
So, yes. We could do it again. It's so fucking good. Like the characters are so fleshed out, like to the point where like when they hit Harry with the station wagon and tie him to the top of the car, he as a character just sort of understands, but obviously misunderstands, but he goes, oh, if something goes wrong and somebody passes out, you tie them to the top of a car. Because when that lady thinks there's a mouse in her kitchen and she hits Harry's toe with that newspaper, you don't see it, but they there's a line where like Harry took that passed out woman and tied her to the top of her car. It's a genius.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
It's worth your time.
Delightfully devilish, Seymour.
Delightfully devilish, Seymour. Oh, isometric exercise.
But get back on what do you call it? The anthology horror movies. The worst one I've ever seen, because I wanted to bring it up because I've been holding this in for like almost a decade, is the ABCs of Death. It is genuinely so shit. It is like, it is awful. So it's it's 26 short films for each letter. And I think I made it to F before I turned it off. Like, I could not do it. Like, the first one starts, and you're just watching this woman walk around, and she uses the toilet. She gets up from the toilet, there's just a bunch of blood in it, and suddenly it says A is for abortion. And that's the short. I can't remember the other ones, but I remember watching it as being like this sucks.
Wow.
And every single short is like that. It'll have something acting out, and then it'll be like B is for, C is for.
Yeah.
And there's two of them.
It felt
there's
like
two.
I know, but it was like VHS. Like VHS came along, and that was a great little
I like the first one.
Yeah.
Second one's all right too.
Yeah, but the ABCs of Death feels like a tone deaf response, like the Transformers, and which, like, you know, it's semi dysfunctional offspring, like through the Asylum release, is like Transmorphers.
I remember Transmorphers.
It does feel like VHS is the Transformer to the ABCs of Death's, you know, pile of shit.
I think VHS came out first.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like the ABCs
I got it backwards. I misunderstood.
Yeah, there's Nick Cage. A B C D. Shaking his head at that lady. He runs at her into the bathroom. The vampire. What a time to be alive, the 90s.
Have you seen the movie Cars?
My nephew was obsessed with Cars for 4 years. So yes, I have seen Cars. I've lived Cars. Like,
I've seen Cars in the triple digits, my man.
This boy had like 3 or 4 Cars birthdays in a row.
The boy.
Yeah, that kid. Jerk.
My kid knows all of the characters, not just the major ones, like the ones that no one has any right to know. And I can't believe Disney and Pixar got together and give these things names.
Yeah, just like the ancillary race cars that crash at the beginning of the movie.
All the old gen, all the new gen, all the off-roaders, all the characters from Cars on the Road. My kid fucking knows them all, and I don't know how he does it.
I think I could probably name, like, on one hand, the name of character, like Lightning McQueen, Mater, what was it, Doc? Isn't that
Doc
like
Hudson.
yeah?
like,
And then like
I feel
I can like name characters, but I can't like actually tell you what their names are.
Oh,
Like there's the
they're
hippie
all-
van.
Fillmore.
More. Yeah, I can tell you everybody in Radiator Springs and basically beyond. Like in Cars 1, there's not like Mia and Tia, the two Miatas, or like, you know, the King and Cal Weathers and yada yada yada.
Who's the guy with the Kachiga?
That's
Chick Hicks.
That's Chick Hicks.
Okay.
And probably my favorite. I shouldn't say that because he's an attempted murderer. But he's one of my favorite characters because in the first one he's voiced by Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
So it brings a little something to it. But he's definitely someone who is okay with committing murder in front of a stadium full of people, and I see why, because no one does shit about it.
Oh, it's
The
okay in
penalty is-
Gladiator, but not in Cars. No, I'm kidding.
Like, imagine any other like sporting event where like you cause someone to almost die, and like
Yeah.
because in the first pileup, when you know McQueen is the rookie or whatever, and he goes, "See you later, McQueen," and he just like bumps the first guy, and it's that huge, massive pileup.
Mhm.
He causes one of those racers legitimate brain damage.
Yeah, it's okay.
Like-
Don't take me out, Doc. I can still race.
Yeah, that guy turns into horse kick head dad instantly, and his career is fucking over. And we're just supposed to go like, "Oh, how hilarious!"
Well,
Like-
in 2007, we were saying, "Oh, how hilarious!" To be fair,
I guess, but like,
as
you know,
as someone who was growing up around that time, that might sound weird. I'm sorry, but
No, I
as
get it.
someone who was like 8 or 9 when that came out, I can tell you right now, that's exactly what kids were thinking. They thought that shit was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
well, and even if you didn't think it was hilarious, like I was a little edgelordy in the late, you know, early to mid 2000s, so I get like the dark humor of that sort of stuff. It's just bizarre to see it so flippant, and that it's like a repeat offender.
Yeah.
Like it's in a race, because like in a big race, 400 cars, you go, "Oh, accidents happen, yada yada yada." When it's 3 dudes and he like purposefully smashes into one, you go like, "Hey, like, are there no fouls in?"
Right. Like you look at somebody wrong in soccer and you get a flag or whatever. Like the red and yellow flags are.
And
Yeah,
like,
the yellow
wrong.
cards. No.
Yeah, yeah.
what does here's another thing I want to one day get an answer to. What does death look like for a car? Because we don't ever see anybody die. Doc dies between 1 and 2. And in Cars on the Road, they end up in a graveyard with a bunch of like rusted out cars that have, you know, regular windshields that are busted out. So the sentient slug creature in the car must be a legitimate biological thing that rots.
Well, yeah. Well, and then in the first one also, he Lightning, you know, rolls into Doc working on the sheriff under his, you know, rocking his joint, doing something under there because he's like, "Enjoy the view, pretty boy." Like, what was he doing?
Giving him an exhaust pipe exam. I don't know.
Like,
Right. And it's just, there's not much that makes sense in that universe, but I've got lots of theories that I believe if I can get anyone, I'll take John Ratzenberger or oh god, what's the guy's name? Who produced that shit? He did the thing with like Miyazaki for a while when they were with Disney. John,
I think it was John Ritter. I know that's not right.
not John Ritter. Oh shit.
John Lasseter.
Lasseter,
Yeah.
thank you, Lasseter, because like that was John Lasseter's like big goodbye. He wanted to like do it up for his last movie and have like a love letter to Route 66 in the 60s. But I especially if you're gonna like introduced the concept of like brain damage and irreparable like bodily malfunctions. Like, because Doc looks as good when we see him as he did in the footage in the 40s. Like, what?
Well, right. And like,
Well, I think, okay, that was a stupid thing to say. New models came around either through birthing or being produced and injected with alien
goo.
slug goo people. So I get that. But like, it's such a weird, because like, could you imagine going into like a massage parlor and having them remove your arms and legs, throw you on a bed and be like, relax. We'll be back whenever we feel like it.
Right.
But that happens in Cars 3.
Yeah, and I think Doc dies between 2 and 3 because, you know, when Reitling gets back in, he's like, this one's for you, Doc. But like all of the other racers from Doc's time, you meet in Cars 3, and they're all alive and well and fine as you can be.
Because it's got to be because of the biological aspect. If the car dies, that's one thing. Like, because they start their engines, which means they're not always running. So, I mean, they
run out of gas, but still move. Like in Cars 1.
It's a crazy universe. And I'm sorry to drag you into this, Shrimpinator.
But now you're part of it.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't there like a short or in one of the movies where there's like tiny little like flying cars with like fly wings?
It's for the Ghost Light, and Mater's running away from the Ghost Light, and there's these little
Thankfully, there's
firefly
not
cars.
a Banshee around.
Yeah.
The
Ghost Light.
Well, I think they are also in Cars 1 too. They're just in there for a little bit, but they're tiny little Volkswagen Beetles with wings.
Yeah.
And that's another thing I want is like in crabs. Like in crabs. No, in Cars 3, when they're racing on the beach to train, they go, watch out for the little crabs. You never see a crab. You never see a seagull. Like what does the wildlife look like? Is everybody just a car? And if so, how did they realize that they need gas? Like what happened first, pavement and rubber? Like
what came first, the chicken or the egg?
So, well, I mean, that's easy. I mean, we had eggs long before chickens, but there's no way. But like humans had horses, and so there's a lineage of, you know, wheels changing and pavement changing. Like if you are a solely mechanical being with no hands, how are you making things? Like all their stuff is made by a human, but modified for a car.
Oh yeah, little Guido
was do everything because they have essentially arms. What we know about wildlife is that the tractors are the cow equivalent.
Right.
So I don't know if they milk them for
And
oil.
why? They don't produce meat. They cannot produce milk. And even if they did, what would you do with it? Like all those cows and Frank the thresher, why are they there? What are they doing?
There is a video out there perfect for you guys. I don't know if you've seen it, but someone does this exact same thing for God knows how long, where he talks about like, oh, well, if this exists, how does this exist? And so on and so on. And it's exactly the same thing that you guys have been doing.
Well, it's not hard or like special. Like you don't have to be a genius. All you have to do is ask a single question, because that will say, well, if that happened, then why did blah? All it takes is like, well, start anywhere you want. Be like, okay, so their tires can blow out. That's a part of their body. They can ride on the rims. No pain, no problem.
Right.
Lightning blows out all four tires, sparking all over the fucking road. No pain. When Red shoots him with the water cannon to get the tar and the cactus off of him, he reacts with pain. So,
yeah.
What do they have nerves? Why don't they connect to the tires? Like you can install headlights because lightning does.
Right.
What? How? It's just a confusing time to be alive. I mean, the 90s were so much better. We didn't have these complex philosophical questions to contend with.
Well, of course not.
We all just knew that like Littlefoot's mom and everybody else's mom is going to die. Mm-hmm. So fucking buck up and get to those tree stars or whatever. But now it's like,
could you ask?
you have parents?
I was gonna say, could you ask the same of Toy Story? But the answer is no, because it's actually set up very well how that world works.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of some of those things. Is like, you go, well, how? He said, well, a wizard did it essentially, because you don't need to know what power imbues these toys, because you know they are simply just toys. You can take them apart, stuffing. There's just a magical element that makes them whatever.
Yeah.
Unless it's the same voodoo from Child's Play.
Oh, possibly. There's another one out there. There's a Muppets-esque Christmas movie sort of thing. My memory is terrible, and I haven't seen it in a zillion years, but like it's the same sort of idea. Like all the toys are alive when the humans aren't there. However, the caveat is if you're caught in a place where the child or whoever had you last didn't put you, you're dead.
Oh.
So there are in this little whatever Christmas special, there were just a pile of toys that had died because they got caught in a place they weren't supposed to be. And so imagine living that life, right? Like everyone you know, like when they drop dead, their bodies don't go anywhere. You don't bury them. You just throw them in the closet, and then someone else comes and plays with them in front of you, horrifying you to oblivion like every fucking day.
And it's a Christmas special, which makes it even funnier.
I wish I could remember it, but like there's like a little guy in a taxi, and like it's definitely a Muppet-esque thing, but it's one of those ones that like it didn't horrify me enough like The Hobbit or The Last Unicorn, so I vividly remember it, but I definitely remember being like, wow, like they have to hang around all those corpses.
Ugh.
And they're just there. Like when someone dies and they're out of your life and you go, oh, I remember them. It would be as if like your grandmother died and you put her in her chair in your house and you go, oh, there's grandma.
I mean, the Sawyer family did that in Texas Chainsaw.
Right. But like, but that's like, they would never like decay or whatever. They would still just be there, soft and supple as ever.
I mean, depending on what they're made out of, they could decay and just fall apart until they get
all
tossed.
of us will give way to entropy. So yeah, sure. Someday, like maybe the kid will get tired of the old toys and they'll get thrown away. But until then, you're just living with these corpses. But the silver lining of this is I think Santa comes and brings them all back to life and gives them a second chance or whatever.
Oh, how fantastic!
Until it happens again.
Well, obviously, everybody gets one, like Spider-Man. But I'm gonna have to find that out and watch it again because it is something I would like to horrify my own child with.
Great.
Awesome.
Well, tell you what, my man, and we've been rolling for about an hour and a half. I appreciate you calling in, and Ryan, wherever you are, Jameson, Ice Truck Thrill, thank you all. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Shrimpinator.
Absolutely. I have one more little question for the chat, whoever's still here.
Hey.
Not to dox our chat or whatever, but we were discussing ideas when you said about having me on the show about doing a movie review or an album review, just something. What would you guys who are still listening would like to see? Would you like a movie review of like Ninja Turtles is my first go-to because it's obvious.
Obviously.
I could review that movie every day for the rest of my life.
Or even season 1 of the 87 cartoon. There's only 5 episodes.
Yeah, all 5 episodes. But that's like a movie in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, the hot rodding teenagers from Dimension X. Like, holy shit, so much classics.
The Neutrinos.
Yeah, the Neutrinos. They cool. We are frozen, you know? Fuck,
yeah, I feel like it would have to be something like that. Because like I feel like with music, it's not as broad. Exactly and plus like it's not as easy to talk about. Yeah,
plot points are easier to sort of lay out and break apart. Not The Last Dinosaur. I tried watching it and was so bored after an hour. Oh my god!
But Richard Boone.
It's got Richard Boone. It's one of my favorite movies.
You just come on here talk about the discography of Primus.
Oh, we could talk about Primus. But yeah, we probably should because I've not touched the animated series yet. If you want to do the first 5 episodes as like a big movie, we could totally do that. all of those episodes are in my mind like solid rock. Jameson,
I
pick it up
remember
the
'em
movie.
pretty
Then. If you
well.
don't like The Last Dinosaur, I don't know what to do about you. It's one of the best movies I've ever fucking seen from the 1970s. A notoriously bad decade.
It's not a good movie.
Yeah, I have the series box set. So, and plus like 5 episodes is whatever. It has
Yeah,
the best animation of the bunch, so that's worth noting.
Yeah, and it does all the. It's essentially like because it tells the backstory and everything too. It's everything that you need. But
The
I mean, we can
kiddified
talk about-
version of the backstory.
yeah, I mean, we can talk about it one day, obviously. But like we talked about it in the Discord. I'm not happy with the retcon of Mutant Mayhem, but I am okay with like. Mix it up. Splinter's a rat. Splinter was a human. I don't care. As long as they come from Japan and have ties to ninjutsu, I am on board.
To be fair, all right, let's think about it like this, just a little bit. Because, like, to me, Ninja Turtles, I love Ninja Turtles, but I recognize how ridiculous this is. So the fact that, like, he learns it from, like, a manual doesn't really bother me that much, because if you go by the original story, you're talking about a rat, not a mutant rat.
Right.
Just a normal rat learning ninjutsu by watching his master do it. I mean, by that same point, why couldn't a mutant rat learn from a manual where he's looking how to do the moves and it actually tells you how to perform these moves?
So here's the thing. I am unjustly biased because I did study martial arts for decades. I went through Taekwondo, regular old like hard style karate. I got my black belt in Tai Chi. I did Kempo. I did Aikido Jitsu. So I ran the gamut. And having the luxury of a real life teacher like telling you how it should feel and how your body should move is immeasurably invaluable. Whereas every book I've picked up, or like I've got back here, all the Leonardo, Donatello, Michelangelo, and all the ninjutsu weapons training manuals, a picture, fucking worthless. Like, they're not going to be like, make sure you're keeping the weight on the ball of your foot as you drive with your hips. It's just like, here's the start and here's the finish.
With some arrows.
You need someone there to check your shit.
Yeah, but to be fair, the rat wasn't being taught outright. He was just watching.
No, but you can. There's, but you're seeing the full motion. You're not seeing
True.
anywhere between 1 and 12 pictures
But
of like.
It's really funny, especially in the live action movie. You see that little rat puppet like kick
I love that shit.
in the cage. It's so funny.
I love that
I
shit.
watched my master train, and he's like, "Hiya."
From my cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's stupid shit all around. Like in the movie, you've got the little rat puppet going like, yeah, and Shredder takes a slice and literally just hits the rat's ear, feels like that's good,
Yeah.
and leaves. But
That part's so sad, but
yeah. There's an equally absurd part in the animated series where like the way that Hamato Yoshi gets kicked out of the fucking Foot Clan is like the knife in his gi,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Huh?
and he's like, "Oh, why aren't you bowing before your master?"
Impudent
He's like,
dog,
"Tried
bow
to
before-"
murder him."
Yeah, and he goes, throw the bum out. Like, what?
Yeah.
We're in Japan. Throw the bum out. Right. So I'm not going to
So
say
then
that,
he
like,
goes to New York.
right. But I'm saying like there needs to be a direct tie, a lineage, a heritage of some kind. It's disingenuous because whatever. I'm not a huge fan of people from either coast because they think their shit don't stink. And like having just a New York rat be like, yo, I'm a New Yorker. I can pick up anything, played by Tony Shalhoub. I go like, well, like, what the fuck, guys?
That makes me really curious about. I keep bringing it up to you, but how you would feel about the IDW rendition, how they change the story, because you will either hate it, like it, or think it's okay.
Definitely fall into one of those.
One of
three.
those three.
Yeah,
It'll be the good, bad, or you won't care. Huh? Nice.
you either like it, you don't, or you think it's okay. That old Mitch Hedberg stand up.
Yeah.
But,
I don't know.
But-
I'm as I grow older, I'm becoming less persnickety or whatever. Like less well, yeah. With some things, I'm letting go of a lot of shit. But like, okay, just dig on this shit. I'm okay with changing a little bit to update it to do this or that.
this
But-
is a big change. I'm gonna be honest.
Well, like Mutant Mayhem's a big change because, like, you want, or at least I want all of them to have a connection because Bebop and Rocksteady need to have that grudge for when, like, because they hate the turtles, then they get turned into monsters, and like it's because of the turtles that all happens. So there's like another layer of like, well, we wouldn't be horrifying, stinky, rot gut, fucking skag monsters who are never going to get laid again if we didn't work for the Shredder, aka like lower level Foot Clan,
Mhm.
and like become monsters. But like, I don't, the whole like the Superfly thing being like, you all my kids, and they go, I mean, not really. We don't even look alike.
Yeah.
And Baxter Stockman like dies immediately. Like, he was one of my favorite characters.
I will say, from what I have not read all the IDW, but Kevin Williams, not Kevin Williamson, what the hell am I saying? Kevin Eastman, he worked on the IDW series for like the first 100 issues. I have not read all these issues, but from what I've read, there's a big change to the world of TMNT in terms of like their origin story and how they're connected to each other and Shredder. But I think it's fantastic. I genuinely think it's my favorite so far in terms of. I can't really go into details because I don't want to spoil
Right.
it. But
Well, here's the thing. I will give you this. Like, if you're going to do something and change it big. Like the 2005 or 2006, whatever, when they're not facing the Shredder at all. Like the lineage, everything is already done, and we're just doing something different. Like,
this one does go big. I will say that.
what bothers me is like you keep all the same elements like Bebop, Rocksteady, Splinter, the Ninjutsu. You keep everything, like all the characters, Baxter Stockman, Genghis Frog, like all the everything, right?
Mhm.
But change their backstories utterly so that they don't really fit together. Like the Shredder hates the turtles because they're fucking with his shit. He wants to take over New York and have a criminal empire, but the turtles don't want that. So they have immediately a reason to not like each other and to fight against one another. Like,
Yep.
it just feels like the turtles are dicking around underground. Baxter Stockman makes Superfly, and he makes all his little mutants, and they go like, I guess we can stop all these weirdos from doing whatever. Like, no one feels
Have you-
invested.
Have you read the first like original comic book from Eastman and Laird? At least the first issue.
The only thing I have is like the
Okay.
movie version.
Okay, so I'm gonna spoil the first issue, because it's pretty important, and I mean we're talking about 20 pages here, so it's not like you're missing a whole story. So, in Ninja Turtles comic book, Eastman and Laird, the backstory is the same as in the movie.
Okay.
So obviously, Splinter was always a rat. He learned
Totally.
from his master. But what happened was there was like a love triangle thing going on, sort of, where his master Yoshi, he was married to this woman. What's Shredder's real name?
Oroku Saki.
Oroko Saki. So Oroko Saki's brother, who was older than him, he also had feelings for that woman, but he like attacked her, and Yoshi came home, saw that, killed him. So Yoshi and the wife and the rat, Splinter, fled to New York. Oroku Saki, as the Shredder, avenging his brother, finds them in New York, kills them, and that's where you get the start off. So essentially, the first issue of TMNT is a revenge story because he trains these turtles specifically to kill Shredder.
Right.
And they kill him. They kill him in the first issue. He dies.
Oh yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I know
They beat
enough
him on
about
the
that to know that he gets his ass taken out.
Yeah, it's on the rooftop. Leonardo hands him a sword. He says, "Here, commit seppuku." And then he pulls out a grenade, and Donatello just like hits him right in the face with the bow staff.
I've
pretty
seen
brutal.
little snippets of that, but
Yeah.
that sort of goes to my point. Is like there was a reason for the season, even in the movie. Like maybe it's implied or maybe it's explicit. I mean, it's up to you, but it feels like Oroku Saki and Amato Yoshi definitely wanted the same lady, and it was all because of the kernel of it is a revenge tale. So to cut to Mutant Mayhem, where it's just like a bunch of fucking 14-year-old teenagers just going, bacon, egg, and cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese. I go, what the fuck?
To be fair, it's always been silly, somewhat, to some degree. But
I want it to be logically consistent, or at least thematically consistent.
God, I want to talk about the IDW so bad. You have no idea, my man. You
We'll
need
get
to
to it.
read that because, like,
Man,
it cuts even deeper in that version because there's a whole lot more conflict because of that backstory, and it pains me just to like beat around the bush, not really saying anything because I really can't. Because if I say anything, you're gonna be like, "Wait, what?"
That's how I walked into The Last Ronin. I didn't know anything about The Last Ronin, and so in my head, I just thought, the only survivor is Raph. I'm not going to spoil it, so maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that was something I walked into going like, whoa.
I'll say this. When I found out who The Last Ronin was, I was like, yep, that's it. It's like,
sort of made it feel
best
like...
turtle.
Right, like it takes you back to the movie where they go like, okay, let's not have this turtle do that. Let's have Raph do that. So that's what it put me in the mindset, because like Raph was the one who's always going out on his own, going to the top of the barn and going Splinter. So you just go, okay, everybody else just got fucked because Leo and Donnie and Mikey always stuck together, and Raph was probably out fucking around getting beat up on a rooftop or whatever.
It was supposed to be Raph on the roof anyways.
Right.
He's wearing orange, but yeah.
Right. And you can see his nunchucks, like with the 4K or whatever cleanup. Like I've got that movie 17 times from DVD to Blu-ray.
Yeah, I just about wore out the tape because it was my, I have older siblings. I can't remember if I told you that because that's how I know a lot of what I know about. So I had the first two tapes.
Same here.
The first one, which it didn't have the baseball commercial, sadly. I guess it was a later release.
Disgusting.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I wore out that tape and I never noticed it back then. But now you watch it and it's so obvious.
Right. I don't know. We could talk about this all day and night because like the dynamic between Judith Hogue and Elias Koteas, I want them to just live together in real life. I fucking love both of their characters. Whatever. We'll talk about it another time.
He's claustrophobic. I never looked at a man before.
I never looked at another dude or whatever. The truck.
He opens the window.
So I started stopping the show about 30 minutes ago. Now we'll do it for real. So Shrimp and Dinner, we'll definitely have you back on to do. We definitely got to do the first season of TMNT, the animated series.
Cool.
Like that has to happen.
And I got the next song almost ready.
Oh yeah, Radical. Oh, that's another thing too. If you want to check out Shrimpinator, FDO's side projects here, check out Uncanny Jams here on YouTube. I've subscribed. You can too. We all do.
We all do.
I've been a little slow with uploading. To get a little personal, I had a seizure a few months ago. So I've been dealing with like headaches and a bunch of other things. So music has not really been at the forefront. So.
No, I get you. Like for a time in the early 20-teens, I was walking with a cane and had vertigo and didn't do jack or shit. So I totally get you.
Yeah, it was a crazy time.
Anyway, we all just go through brain trauma every once in a while.
We all do.
That's what the doctor
thank
told
you so
me.
much, Shrimpinator, and everybody else showing up to watch this. We'll definitely have you back on, and I appreciate you entertaining this experiment with me.
Right on.
All right, everybody.
I was nervous, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm not gonna, if we're in the same room, I might bite you, but we're, so far away, I assume. Anyway, that's it, guys. I'm gonna get goodbye, Shrimpinator. I'm gonna pull you out of here, and we will catch you all on the next episode, which will be, Wednesday. Maybe it's a long weekend. You might see it happen again. But if you don't see us next time, how dare you? That's it. See you later.
Bye.